Hi guys, welcome to the spicy meatball that is my life. I'm not dead again, but anyway, I've kind of gone a little bit different this time around, and I've taken inspiration from a character, a video game character, but I've decided to kind of incorporate it into a casual cosplay kind of thing. If you don't know what a casual cosplay is, don't even bother looking it up because you're going to see it in this video anyway. So I decided to pick Kairi from Kingdom Hearts 2. I think the second one, the only one I ever played, and I've decided to kind of make a top and a skirt. Really excitingly, something is that I graded this pattern for you, so it is available in the about section or whatever, wherever things are down below. It's there. It should be noted though that there are no instructions to make it, so you have to watch this video to see how I did it. And also, my cat is screaming in the background. Also, it is based on my measurements, and my measurements are kind of weird. So I very much urge you to, if you remake this costume, maybe just give yourself a little bit more room in the make a practice first and see how it fits. The sizing's probably all over the show. Shall we get sewing? Yes, I think we should. So the first thing I did was I jumped into Clue 3D, where I started on designing a skirt. The whole idea for a Kairi inspired skirt thing was to add some extra zippage into the garment, since that's a lot of what Kingdom Hearts clothes were. Just extra pointless zippers everywhere. Anyway, when I was done, I printed out the pattern and made a mock-up. Okay, hi. So this is what we've got so far. Yeah, it's not looking that great, but I'm gonna change a lot of it. So I've already drawn kind of what I wanted to change. I want to make it a lot shorter, and I'm gonna bring in the sides to be a little bit tighter. But apart from that, it's looking pretty good. It's a good fit. I've tried it on. It's got 2 dots in the back. I'm gonna close the seam because I don't think it really needs to be there since we're not using it for anything. And yeah, you can kind of just get in and out by the front panels. Ignore these zips, by the way. They're not like finalized or anything. They're just kind of there as placeholders, which is why this one is kind of broken. But yeah, so that is the skirt. It's not bad. It's not bad. Positive words, which may or may not be needed. But yeah, so I'm gonna go ahead and re-pattern this to my changes, and then we'll see how that comes along in the sewing. Okay, see you soon. And then it was on to cutting. For the fabric, I used a pink drill, highly unexciting, but it had a nice sort of stiffness to it, if that's the word. And after cutting all the pattern pieces out, the next step was to move on to the zips. I had bought some zipper tape and pulls off of AliExpress that I thought might work, but the trick was you had to install the zips yourself, so I went ahead and spent quite a bit of time doing that. Now, there are like 1,000,001 tutorials for putting zips on the normal way, which makes sense since 2 zips going in opposite directions are what allows for things like bags and such to open in the middle. I, however, wanted 2 zips going the same way so that they opened at the top and the bottom simultaneously, and finding out techniques for doing that was a bit harder. Anyway, to put the zip on normal ways, it was kind of easy since I used the fork method. To do that, you basically just wedge the gap between the zipper and the pull onto the fork, and then simultaneously ease 2 sides of the zipper into the pull, pulling them through so that they reconnect. It actually is as easy as it looks. I used a lighter to melt the edges of the zipper tape so they wouldn't fray, just FYI kiddos, don't be doing that. Wow. And for the reverse, I kind of did the same thing, except the pull had to go the other way on the fork, and one side of the zipper tape had to be shorter. This was much harder and a lot more fiddly, and it's hard to explain what I actually had to do, so I kind of had to zip up the tape as close to the edge as I could without pulling the other zipper off, and then ease it into the single hole in the zipper pull, which was hard and took a while. And then when it was in there, I had to carefully separate the 2 sides of the tape and ease them through into the separate sides at the other end. It was difficult to start with, yes, but I ended up doing quite a few of these for this project, and it gets a lot easier when you understand it. Anyway, then it was time for the actual sewing. The first thing I did was sew close the darts in the back of the skirt and then ironed them flat towards the side seams. You can kind of just iron them any way you want, honestly. I don't think it really matters. Then because the skirt isn't lined, I searched the sides of the front panels where the zips would be installed. I should note now that I ended up changing the skirt and the pattern provided. Well, you'll see. And then I just had to attach the zips. Starting with the center front panel, I lined them up and sewed them on. And then I attached the facing at the top, making sure to unzip the zip so that only one side was sandwiched. Now for the top and for the final pattern provided, these facing patterns aren't included because I decided that the project looked nicer when it was fully lined as opposed to just having facing. So for the correct sewing technique, follow the top instead of the skirt for this part since it's the same. But anyway, I clipped the edges and turned out the facing as best as possible, and then the center front panel was basically done. Now I just copied the same exact thing for the center side pieces. Before attaching the facing to them, however, I joined up the facing for the sides and back so that I could install it all at once. Sewed to the bottom and then installed it by doing the same thing. I unzipped the zip so that only the correct side would be sandwiched and then pinned all around the top, right sides together. When it was sewn, I clipped the corners, which is very important by the way, and then flipped everything inside. Yes, it looks rough without a press, but it is basically done. And for the hem, I actually ended up just having to use bias tape to finish it, which is mostly why I decided to switch to a fully lined version because it just looks nicer. After this, I promptly ran out of fabric, so I had to order more. And while I was waiting, I decided to make a banana cake because why not? And here is that mandatory baking section. It's fine, I didn't need that piece anyway. God damn it. Don't do magic things. I don't want you that soft, okay? You're boiling, that's probably problematic. You're all good, you're okay, you're okay. You're fine, your gimbal swiveled, but you're fine. That'll do. Alright, going in. Making the pattern for the top of this outfit was more or less the same. Again, using Clo 3D, I went ahead and mocked something up that I thought might work, and then I printed out the pattern and created the mock-up. Now the mock-up fitted really well. I decided to make some slight adjustments to the strap placement and just to widen the top, and that was about it. And it was on to cutting the fabric. Highly unexciting, but here you go. Hi! So here's all the pattern pieces for the top cut out. Yeah, it's pretty straightforward. I'm going to start with actually the easiest part, which is the straps. So I'm going to go ahead and turn these into loops and then iron them, and then we will move on to the actual bodice. For the bodice part, I will start with the center panel and kind of show you how I envision this going, or how it worked for the mock-up, which was a little bit complicated, but essentially it's just like adding a lining to any other item of clothing or any other bodice. There's a lot of turning inside out and twisting around to get the right way though because of the extra zips. Okay, let's go. So after sewing the straps into loops, I turned them successfully, I might add, since I seem to have a lot of issues turning loops in the past, and then once they were pressed, I started off with the center panel.
The first step was sandwiching the zip in the middle of the outer and lining fabric, right sides together, and sewing it in place. Once that was done, I did the exact same thing for the other side, and then I was left with this kind of triangle looking thing that I proceeded to flip in the right way by shoving the ends of the zips and bottom up through the bottom opening and pulling them through. At this stage, I unzipped the zips halfway because I needed to close the bottom of the panel and I didn't want this side of the zip to get in the way. Then I turned it all back inside and sewed right across the bottom, effectively closing that part. After that, it was important to trim the corners and it was done. I also went ahead and used a lighter to soften the very edges of the zip so that they could be bent to create a better looking edge. But you don't have to do this at all, and you can only really do it if you used plastic zips in the first place. Then it was on to the main pieces. I sewed together the back and sides of both the lining and outer fabric so that they were ready to attach to the front panel, and then it was just a matter of repeating the steps again so that the zip was sandwiched accordingly. There is a note on the pattern to baste a certain section of the lining so that it can be unpicked for turning. Remember to do that, and take your time with this step as well to ensure that the zip is facing the right way. Now that that was done, I came to the hardest part, which was closing the top and bottom of the sides and back panels. To do that, I had to perform a bit of what I call fabric origami. Essentially, starting with the bottom, the front panel needs to be tucked away so that the right sides of both the lining and the outer can be aligned. It looks messy and it feels wrong, but it works. Once pinned and sewed, I then moved on to the top. Before closing the top, the straps need to be put into position. The main thing here is just to keep them from twisting and getting caught in the sewing as you go. Again, the right sides need to be matched, and once in place, they can be sewed closed. You'll be left with this weird little ball of sewing madness, but fret not. You can unpick the basting in the lining at this point, and through the hole, turn the entire thing in the right way. Make sure to give it a good press once you've flipped it. The top of the center panel needs to be finished either carefully by machining or hand stitching it closed. You can feel free to top stitch along the zips at this point as well. And we're done! How did it turn out? The skirt is cute. I like it, although mine really does need a better press, but it's cute. And the top? Okay, now I think I made a vital mistake here by not marking my pieces correctly. For some reason, despite widening the panels, the boob area somehow became tighter, which should have been impossible. But I'm fairly certain it was because I accidentally sewed the two side panels upside down. My bad. It's still cute, but it just doesn't fit as well as it should. Also, sorry about the way I'm wearing these shorts, but does anyone know why the hell they come up so high? Is that not insane? Anyway, here are the pieces together. Just to make sure I wasn't going crazy with the top, I actually remade it in black, which honestly suits my style better anyway, and yes, it fitted perfectly with the panels up the right way. Yay! Now, something I forgot to mention is that getting into the top, you might have to move the zippers like this, which I just thought was a look in and of itself.
Hey guys, so that should be the end of this video. Let me know what you think of it. Did you like the top? Did you like the skirt? Did you like any of it? Did you like the process? Did you like watching me ruin things, maybe? I don't know. Anyway, let me know what you thought of it. Give it a like, thumbs up, sub, whatever people do on this site. I don't know. I'm dying to take this wig off, so I'm going to free myself right now.